Oh, SpongeBob.
Sponge brother, it's time.
Check.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a little while. So we don't live in South Carolina anymore. We are now in Texas. What's up, guys? How you doing? Guys and ladies. Ladies and guys. This was me. There's a point where every week we released a new show. Our team was made up of 13 close and passionate people. Friends, as I like to call them.
You're a good looking dude, you know that, right? It's like every year that passes, you get more and more attractive.
We all had a vision. Something we had to say. Something we needed to do. We went to space, fought off zombies, visited alternate realities, and learned a thing or two about love.
It started with you guys, the notes. That's them right there.
Get that.
I did.
Since then, piece by piece, we fell apart. And we each learned to start over. In my mind, it felt like those 10 years, about 10 years that split up who I was now and who I was then. Felt like it just left without saying goodbye. Then suddenly, like a couple days later, I got a message from a friend. And it was a memory. But not from 10 years ago. It was 5. And it dawned on us. We talked on it for a while, and we realized that a lot can happen in 5 years. Although I'm in a new city with, like, no connections, a lot can happen in 5 years. So, as somebody who's gotten really good at starting over, I've kind of picked up a few things along the way. And one of the things I've learned is that when thinking long term, in this case 5 years from now, it's okay to think big. It's okay to, aim high. You want to write a book? Awesome. Make a garden. Get good at painting. I'm still learning. This is oil though. Remember that first painting I showed you? Most important thing everyone will tell you is to set goals. And as cliche as it sounds, anybody can make goals. Making goals is easy. The hard part is being consistent and making something realistic. But when you're thinking 5 years from now, aim big, aim high. You got 5 years. Think to yourself, like, who do you want to be in the next 5 years? You could look inside and out, feel like a totally new person. You could start that weight loss journey, right? And in 5 years, if you're consistent, you can build a totally new lifestyle where you look like Ryan Reynolds in Blade Trinity. Goals. What else can you do? You want to get into cosplaying, maybe that's your thing. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe you don't even know who you are, right? And so maybe you can kind of use these next 5 years as like a way to explore that, right? Get better acquainted with who you want to be. Aim high, think big, get a little creative with it, look inside. Once you figure out what you want to do in the next 5 years and who you want to be in the next 5 years, now we can start breaking it down into something more realistic. So, if it's not obvious by now, what I want to do with this is to help you create your own road to those 5-year goals. This next part, it's going to be adding a little bit of realism to these goals, right? So, here are my goals. I didn't have to add the sound effect, but I did anyways. I'll throw an extra one on there. For me, one of my 5-year goals is to write a book. I've never written a book. I mean, for me, I think the most pages I've ever written in a single year towards a project was probably fucking 20, maybe. So in 1 year, I can probably write 100 pages. For you, it might be different. It might be more, it might be less, and that's fine. You know, everyone's different. If I'm doing 100 pages a year, then at the end of 5 years, it's easy math, 500 pages, right? And I'm not saying the book is gonna be 500 pages. For me, my thinking is, okay, well, some of those years, I might not get 100. I might get 80. I might get 75, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, I'm writing more than I would have, you know, in setting this 100 goal. Even though all 500 pages aren't going to make it in the book, I'm going to have more material to pull from, and thus creating a better book, right? I mean, you hope so. So look at all your 5-year goals and find out if you could break it down into a year, what could you get done, right? So another thing that I have on there is to make my first camera bag. And I suck at sewing right now. I've only sewn half a thing, maybe 2 halves, 2 different halves, I guess one thing. The way I decided to break that up was, in 1 year, I could try to sew 12 things. 1 thing a month, and go up by difficulty. I feel like it's digestible for me. I'm just fucking rambling. Shit, where am I at? Okay, what are some of my other... This is the place where the person you are and the person you want to be become one. Now, once you have all your things broken down into like what you can do in a year, again, these should be more realistic. They should still have some level of difficulty to them. If you have to tone back like some of those goals and adjust them, that's fine. Going on to the next step, I'm rambling too much. We're looking at what you're going to be doing every week. This AC, it's like always dead quiet, and then the AC just goes, and I'm like, oh fuck. I feel like these are the most fun because, 1, they're supposed to be the most realistic, and 2, these are the things that you can do starting tomorrow. You can start them today if you want. I mean, it might be a little much. I don't know what time of the day you're watching this, but I do think it's important for you to not spend too much time not starting this. Okay, so back to the book thing. What I decided to do was, okay, if I'm supposed to write 100 pages every year, then I just do the calculations, you know, and it came out to about 2 to 3 pages a week. Going back to the sewing, okay, so if I want to sew 1 thing a month, then what I could do is every week I figured I could just spend 2 weeks prepping. That's doing the research on whatever it is I'm gonna sew, and getting the materials, and then the next 2 weeks kind of putting it together. You know, there's an ambulance coming. If you're someone who isn't used to change, getting started is going to be one of the hardest things you're going to have to do. I believe in you. I know you can do it. If you want that life, if you really, really want it, you're going to have to make a move. I really hope that this is helpful. Like, I'm not trying to like fucking give you like 90% and then like keep the other 10% for myself. I fucking hate all these people who are like, buy my class, buy my resources, buy this. It's like, this guy's willing to teach you 70% of the work, but if you want that extra, like to get to that 100, you're gonna have to buy the course. That you ain't gonna see any of that shit here. I want to see people succeed, you know. I feel like we're living in a time where we have a plethora of resources, but we are our own worst enemy. And be better to yourself. Be good to yourself. You got enough people out there trying to take shit away from us, and you don't need to be doing that to yourself, you know. So you have a great night or day whenever you're watching this. Sorry, all this was shot, half of this was shot at night. I originally shot it in the day. I didn't like, you couldn't hear me. It was not good. But yeah, you guys have a great night, and I'll see you next week.